So where we left with Act 1 is we had set up. We had gotten a lot of information in Act 1. Why don't we go around and listen to each player's, sort of summary for their character? Do a check-in. Let's start with Christy. She's been our first player consistently.
All right. So we left Act 1 with Edith essentially doing some investigating on her husband with Alex's help. So maybe there's a little mistrust there based on their past in this sleepy little town. And her goal remains the same. She wants to solve this mystery of the current missing girl with the death of a young girl years ago. And I guess her final goal would be to make it a novel.
Yeah, I think Roland he's got a bit of a mystery. Clearly he's got a past, a dirty past that he tried to escape, but now all these years later, the soup's getting churned up again, and it's kind of sending him. It's kind of it's putting him on edge. That's for sure. He's kind of at a point now in the story, I think, where he's throwing caution to the wind, where he would normally be a bit more conservative about his behavior. He's becoming unraveled a bit.
Yeah, I think Steve. It didn't take a whole lot of shit to hit the fan for Steve to drop the rebel badass facade and to get his ass straightened out a little bit. I think once he realized how fucked up Alex was, and this whole bit with their playing around with the cult magic, he kind of backed out pretty quick. So he's just trying to escape. He's just trying to get out of this thing that he got himself into with Alex.
So Alex thinks things are moving along nicely with this plan. He got the materials he needed to conduct his ritual. He's got his good friend Steve to assist him with performing the ritual, and he is looking forward to seeing how things actually go, to all the hard work that he's put in the past few years.
So he's feeling confident.
Yes, quite confident.
Everything is going according to plan.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
All right, so we do this the same way we did Act 1. We start with what's your name again?
Edith.
I was actually trying to remember her real name.
Christy?
Yeah. I know too many people with similar sounded. Yeah.
Hard C sounds. All right. So where should we take this? I'm thinking maybe getting right into... Oh, shit. So Edith and Roland, I'm setting it up. Edith and Roland are in their bedroom.
Ooh.
And they are packing bags.
Don't worry, it happens to everybody.
And they are packing bags of flashlights, stuff they think that they'll need in preparation for essentially spying on whatever Alex and Steve will be doing in the woods this evening. And while Edith is packing her bag, she looks to her husband, and she thinks of Jessica, the girl who had gone missing years and years ago. She had been their friend. She had been involved in everything that they were involved in the shadowy woods that surrounded this town. But she went missing. Nobody ever found her. Nobody ever knew what happened to her. But there was always a lot of guilt. with Edith, and she assumed with Roland for being involved in what they were involved in, and Jessica going missing.
So is Roland part of the scene?
Roland is part of this scene. So Edith looks to Roland and also thinks quickly of giving Alex the piece of his blood, because she is now starting to suspect that maybe Roland could have had something to do with Jessica's disappearance. She's gonna say, I'm worried, Roland. We don't know what we're walking into tonight.
Roland will look up from packing the last of his bag. He'll zip it up, sling it over his back, and then he'll look to Edith. Edith, I never thought that we'd be going back out into these woods.
Do you think that we should call Jimmy? He used to hang out with us out there in the woods.
Jimmy hasn't been the same in the past couple years, you know that.
Yeah, but he is the sheriff now. Perhaps we should involve him. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it should just be us.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that, but
Maybe a vote could help drive which way it goes.
right.
So
I'm going good.
I feel like if somebody's uncertain, that's a good time to
Right,
really
right. I got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I forgot all about the voting. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go good. I'll go good.
All right. So the goods have it for Christie's.
Yeah, I'll give Jimmy a call. You know, maybe you're right. But like I said, I wouldn't expect much. And then maybe he'll look down. While he's got his backpack slung over, he's also got a small handbag that this bag looks a lot older, and you might even see some, and difficult to see in this dim light, but you might even see some faded glyphs written across it, and maybe the pommel, an ivory pommel sticking out, maybe belonging to a knife.
All right. So you got another good die, another blue die. And
Edith was essentially just trying to figure out if Roland would be uncomfortable with law enforcement being involved, even if Jimmy was part of our group back then.
kind of snooping.
Yeah.
All right. So it'll
Ooh,
be
so was that good or bad?
It doesn't. I don't know yet.
It was
but
obviously rolled good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was just basically she was just fishing. You know, would he care if
Interesting. I'm still a little unclear of how the good and bad plays
yeah.
into
I mean,
it.
it only does so as much as we understand the motives.
Right,
and
and then in the end, you tally it up, and that's when you really see how
Well,
good or how
for
bad.
instance, if it would have gone bad, I might have taken more actions
Like
against my husband.
Right, exactly.
Is it
Yeah.
okay? I have a hard time because it's kind of is it like good or bad according to your the character's motives or goals, or is it good or
Right.
evil?
That's what I was wondering too.
Nah, I think it's
like hero or villain.
I think it's whether or not the character's achieving
Their goal.
Their goal.
So my goal was to get you to get Jimmy involved, and because I passed, you did.
right.
Okay. Let me see here. You know what? I'm gonna resolve this one for Roland.
Oh, so you want us to set the scene?
So
we're gonna have to collaborate on what the scene could be. Maybe it makes sense to have the conversation with Jimmy.
I don't know. I think we should move it to all three of them being out there.
All three of
Jimmy,
Edith.
and Roland. Three of the
Okay.
watching, the older people that used to be involved in such things in the woods, watching the younger people.
But maybe heading out there
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's going to happen until we get to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you have Jimmy,
Would also-
and you're spying on us too, we're missing a person.
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Somebody has to play Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
Do they?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was wondering if this would be okay for a visit from some kind of authority. Mm-hmm. Would that fulfill the tilt table?
Obviously.
Oh yeah. But if you want it, the way that it's going to fulfill the tilt table has to be disruptive. Like it can't just be, oh, Jimmy's along for the ride.
Okay.
Jimmy has to either do something or affect. He has to tilt the story exactly.
Okay, so essentially, I involved him, but we haven't really tilted the table yet.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So he can't just be there to watch. Essentially.
Right. He can't just be an NPC.
Gotcha.
All right. You don't want me to play Jimmy, so.
So yeah, it could either be getting Jimmy involved. It could be on the way out there to the woods. I don't know. What do you think, K-Way?
You guys can do it walking out to the woods, or him just meeting and fucking, getting ready to go out there, or him meeting them out there. I'm assuming this is on that Friday, though, correct?
Either that or a prep night, but it sounds like the Friday.
Friday of.
Okay.
We're headed out there.
Okay, so the scene will have Roland, Edith, and Jimmy. We know, we have that much. The scene will have Roland, Edith, and Jimmy. Are we on our way out to the woods?
Yeah, maybe we're walking the trail to the site.
Well, how about what's your... do you imagine trying to beat them there? Are you just trying to spy on them? Are you trying to intercede? Do you think there's going to be any sort of are we trying to interrupt anything?
I think maybe just spying, and then, maybe the intercede or the tilt table will be Jimmy getting involved when he shouldn't, or something like that.
So Roland and Jimmy are going to be there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I could play Jimmy if K-Way doesn't want to.
No, not preferably.
All right, so the scene is Edith, Roland, and Jimmy walking through the woods, heading toward where they are expecting Steve and Alex to be performing their ritual.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why you guys pulled me out here. I haven't been out here in fucking ages.
Oh, believe me, Jimmy, I didn't want to come out here any worse than you did.
If any word of this stuff gets out, that we've been involved in this, we're pillars of the community, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, at this point, Jimmy, I'm just worried about what's coming forward. See how it all looks in the morning.
Well, if it involves those two kids, it can't be good. You've seen them. You've been there.
I remember all too well.
They're really out there at the old cabin, huh?
I thought you destroyed all that shit, Jimmy.
It wasn't just on me. We were all out there. I did what I could at the time.
I didn't mean to take that tone with you. It's just... God, they're just kids.
You don't wonder what happened to Jessica? And with that other girl missing, what if she's out at that cabin?
I think at this point, Roland might give a concerned look to Jimmy. She doesn't remember anything.
Oh, shit.
What do you mean I don't remember? Of course I remember Jessica. She was our best friend.
Listen, we could talk about this later, Edith. We
have things to take care of right now. We're going to stop this, right?
That's my aim. I think Alex is too far gone, but I think we can save Steve, get him out of here. That's my goal.
I don't know. I think you got a soft spot for that kid.
It reminds me of myself.
So you get to decide.
Yeah.
I go good with it.
All right. So you get a blue die, and maybe you convinced Jimmy to go easy on
Steve.
Was there any other...
I'm still kind of torn. I don't mind if Roland ends up a martyr in the story, so long as... Like, Roland's aim is to save Steve at this point. not caring about himself.
So that
He's kind of
counts, then.
already okay.
Yeah.
All
Right.
right, fair enough. I just wasn't sure
Yep.
if that would stack against.
No,
Okay.
because it seemed to us that the goal was,
For
To
us to get
convince-
involved, to get Steve out of what he was getting into.
yeah,
Alright.
yeah. That seemed to be Roland's
Yeah,
goal.
and we needed to know what we're up against.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense now.
All right. So this is the. I'm going to establish the scene. Nah, fuck it. I'll do that. I want to relinquish the show. I'll let you guys establish the scene, and I'll choose the outcome for Steve.
What do you guys want to do? You want to go up? You want to go right into the, or do you want to do a flashback scene? I mean, do we want this to be like a? Do we want?
Are we going to introduce elements of the supernatural? Is that what you're wondering?
It could go either way. For me, as a player, I could, it could all just be it could play off like it's kind of like the X-Files, like it feels supernatural, but really it's just the machinations of a small town fucking psychosis or something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean that supernatural doesn't have to be present for there to be evil deeds by crazy people who knows.
Right. Could just be something in
Or
the
it
water.
could, or it could be something's out there.
So for coming up with like a scene idea, like what do we want to have answered about Steve's trajectory? What do we want to have like?
Well, let's look at our tilts. We've got tragedy,
Yep.
which could involve
Someone's life has changed for the worse forever.
In a bad way. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a player character. That could be anybody.
right. Well, it would
Could be the girl that's missing recently. It could be
Oh, did that girl go missing recently?
there are two
There's
girls.
two girls missing.
Oh,
There was Jessica, who was a friend of Jimmy. I'm imagining in my mind Jessica and
I missed that.
Jimmy
No, I
and
missed that
Roland
detail.
and Edith are all in that photo of the older residents of the town. And Jessica went missing, and then you just established that like probably everybody in the group remembers what happened to Jessica except for Edith, and that's why Edith is still trying to figure out what the fuck happened to Jessica. Which is probably why you're always telling her to leave it alone.
right. Trying to protect you from yourself.
From yourself, huh?
So like if you have any questions you want answered about his character, that could guide a setup. Or if you want to try to move like the story, that could guide a setup.
Well, let's see where we'll go with what Steve and Alex do when the adults are spying on you.
Okay, so in this scene, basically it's all right. So it's Steve and Alex.
It's Steve and Alex, and Edith. From her point of view, is what as a player I want to know is what the fuck's going on in the woods? Is there anything going on in the woods? Are these just crazy culty teens, or is there an element of the supernatural going on?
Okay,
We can answer it in this scene.
and you guys had already found your hiding places, already spying on us.
Yep, we're
Okay.
just in the background.
All right. While while Steve and Alex are setting up our ritualistic paraphernalia, candles and salt and whatever shit that
Pentagrams,
that
fucking salt, candles.
I could picture Alex like
incense.
telling him to pull stuff out of the bag, and he's taking stuff out of the bag and putting it around. But Steve is constantly like, whenever Alex isn't looking, he's looking out into the woods because he knows, he's expecting to be watched, and he's wondering when we're going to be stopped. So he's looking over his shoulder out into the woods, and he sees Alex really prepping for the ritual that he doesn't fully understand. Hey man, do we really have to do this?
Yes, I need to get to the bottom of this.
What's this going to tell you anyway?
I mean, hopefully it will allow me to speak with her.
What do you want to speak with her for, man? That's fucking morbid.
I just need to know some things. I need... Listen, are you scared? Is that what this is about?
Man, I'm just wondering if you're dragging me out here in these cold, wet-ass woods because you have some fucking goth crush on a dead chick from 30 years ago.
You're prejudiced against dead people.
I thought you wanted to go through with this too, right? I mean, if you're scared, you can just go home. I don't need you.
It's not that I'm scared, man. It's just... It seemed like a cool idea at first, but now it's just kind of like, man, look where we're at. We're out, there's mosquitoes and shit. It's like, it is kind of creepy, though. I mean, what if something bad happens? Are you sure we're going to be communicating with the right kind of spirit? Did you ever think of that?
No, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever done this, all right? As you can tell, Alex is getting really kind of agitated with the questions.
I'm going to have it go bad for me.
Interesting.
All right, I'll help you with whatever you want, man. What do you need me to do?
Listen, I need you to get that journal we found, the diary. I need you to finish setting up everything.
Yeah, I have it right here.
All right. Now go grab the rolled up stuff I have inside the chest. It's in plastic wrap. Just bring it over here.
All right, man. I hope you know what you're doing. And he moves over to get stuff out of the box. You see that the scene ends with like the camera being in the box and the lid opening up to see Steve's face looking down.
Alex's scene now.
All right, I'm going to resolve a scene. How about that? We'll make this easy.
Oh, you're going to resolve?
Yeah, I'll resolve.
I think that makes it harder because then we all have to come up with a consensus.
Yeah, it makes it easier for you.
All right, do we want to do flashback or do we want to keep stay in the night of the ritual? I feel like because they have a relationship, that if we do a flashback that gets him entangled, it should somehow be between the scene should have Alex and Edith.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. The shadow in the woods thing. Yeah. Why don't we bridge that gap? Why don't we? How did that omen come about?
What if Alex reads one of Alice's semi-successful novels, and because he's from the town, he starts piecing everything together, and he comes to her with the novel, and it's like, explain.
Or, yeah, never mind. I mean, if you want, I can throw something in there too.
Well, you're going to have the ability to act
be in the
it
scene.
out. So the establishment of the scene this is...
You confronted...
years ago, right? A couple years ago, maybe?
Yeah, we'll say this is like, 2-3 years ago, you read one of Edith's novels.
Or wait, 2 or 3 years is a long time for this to boil.
Okay.
So maybe more like a month, a couple months.
Well, I would have to figure out how to do the ritual, though. I might not have known yet.
Right, would take, maybe a couple months.
Yeah, maybe last summer, right? Or something.
Even that's a long time to stew on this shit.
Well, he wouldn't have been stewing. He would have been learning how to perform fucking magic rituals.
Yeah, but we're not talking a Harry Potter fucking... We're talking about like one book out of the library.
Okay.
All right, probably 60-page book at most.
Well, no, I don't think the novel would take him long to read. I think that...
And plus, like, do we want him to... Do we assume that he actually knows what he's doing?
Right, that's the other thing.
Okay, all right.
So
let's...
So this is a fresh burning obsession. Like, maybe it's only like...
So let's call the scene 4 months ago.
But would Edith be able to stew on it for 4 months?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's just stewing for 4 months. I think that you can very much fill in a 4-month gap of time with Edith just doing research and,
Or Alex doing research. I mean...
Or Alex, both of them looking into this,
I'm with Jay on the more
the
like
4 months
the expedited. What do you say? 1 month? You can outvote her.
All right. 1 month ago...
I feel like once that cat's out of the bag,
it's
going to go
flame.
quick.
I feel like it's a hot flame.
All right, 1 month ago, Alex approaches Edith with her novel.
All right, so that's the scene, right? Okay.
Yep.
Where?
Edith is having a cup of tea at the diner.
Okay.
Nice,
good.
bringing it back to the diner. I like it.
Yeah.
Staple
Awesome.
in the show. What's his name?
Alex.
Winston? No, Bobby Winston.
Bobby Winston.
Bobby Winston might be. Maybe he's the guy that runs the diner. I don't
Maybe
know.
you could be Bobby Winston.
I'll be Bobby.
Well, I don't. Yeah.
But we don't need Bobby in the scene.
We don't need
though.
Bobby.
No.
in the scene.
All right, so did you get all that, Alex? It's Alex and Edith 1 month ago in the diner. You are approaching her because you put shit together from her novel.
All right. So am I doing the whole scene, or am I just?
You're
ending it?
starting. You see her in the. How about this? You see her in the diner, sitting and sipping her coffee,
All right.
and you have her novel in your hand, or you've just read her novel.
Yeah, Bobby Winston just got done bringing her coffee.
All right.
Bobby's gonna die.
He's a red shirt.
Alex strolls into the diner. And then he looks over and he sees the local writer of the article. Alex approaches her and has a seat right on the side of her, not across from her, but on the side of her, kind of blocking her in. Yeah, that's right. Payback's our bitch.
But
So,
wouldn't that make hers payback?
Yeah.
all right. Yes, that would.
But it was a good tactic, so it's fine.
He grabs the paper and kind of throws it down on the table.
Novel. It's a book.
Or novel. Book. I see you know a lot that's going on in this town. As he throws down the book onto the table.
Edith will look at the book almost kind of sadly. She's like, well, at least somebody read it.
I only read the beginning of it. It was too many words for me. But, just, I had a couple questions. There were some things that I needed to find out.
I always have time for a fan. What can I help you with, Alex?
Is this supposed to go good or bad for my attentions? Or do we...
You
It's up to
decide.
you.
It's up to me?
Yeah, you resolved it.
All right. Back about 30 years ago, there was a girl who went missing here in this town. I was talking with my mother, and and she's blah, and her sister went missing. I believe. Oh wait, I didn't read that. I was wondering if you might have known anything about it. Her name was Jessica.
Is this going good or bad for you?
This is going good for me.
Okay. So, Samantha in the book, the young girl that goes missing. Yes. She was based on Jessica.
Is there anything you can tell me about her? Like who she was, what type of person she was? Did you know her specifically? And we can fade to black. I mean, I really don't need details.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the audience might. Oh no, I guess we're only trying to figure out your interests.
Yeah, and we
Yeah, it could fade
can
to black.
end it on a good note. So the scene will conclude with Edith essentially telling you the story of Samantha as best as she can remember it, and while kind of still covering for the people involved, but you because it came out in your favor, you're able to figure out that I was involved, my husband, you know what I mean?
All right, got it.
There's something about those woods out there, Alex.
Yeah, perfect. So before we move on to Christie's next scene, I want to point out that there are only bad dice left on the table. So every
Outcome from here on is bad.
is going to be bad, except for yours, Kiwi. The last one, you get to choose if it's good or bad. It's like a wild.
Wonderful. Is the last one always wild?
The last, so the last one, even though the color is going to stay red for when you do your tally, you get to choose if it's a good or bad outcome
All right, got
for the
it.
scene. Right.
Bringing us back to the woods, Edith is watching Steve and Alex bring out these ritual tools and substances, and she starts to feel nauseous as she's watching, and she's seeing, instead of Steve and Alex, she's seeing Roland and Jimmy and herself moving around in that field doing similar things, and seeing Jessica out there too with them, and they seem happy. Nobody seems upset, but for whatever reason she's got a very bad feeling as she's watching Steve and Alex, and kind of it's making her remember doing similar stuff with her friends back then.
So I imagine as a scene, this plays out like you're watching Steve and Alex, but then there's sort of like these like old filmy style like,
Ghosts
like-
moving around them.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking
flashback
like
kind
Jimmy
of,
and
yeah.
Roland, like over fucking Steve and Alex.
Like the young
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
like the young versions instead of it being Steve and Alex's, like
Yeah.
you know.
So what Steve and what Jimmy and Roland would see would be, because that's who's there, Jimmy, Roland, Edith would see, is her kind of going white, and she grabs her you see her kind of looking nauseous. She's got her arm over her stomach.
Roland will approach Edith, put his arm around her. Edith, what are you doing out here?
I just want to know what happened. I want to tell this story. What happened? What is wrong with these woods?
You should have never brought her out here.
I couldn't stop her.
I can see us. I can see all of us out here doing these things.
This can't bode well.
Well, you're gonna give away our position if you keep chit-chatting. What's the game plan here?
Well, what is it? What happened to Jessica? And where is this other missing girl? Is she in that cabin?
Edith, you gotta keep your voice down.
Is she in the cabin? What if somebody else dies? What if somebody else goes missing?
Listen, Jessica's been dead for 40 years.
But how,
We've gotta-
Jimmy? How?
We're here for a different reason tonight.
I'm going to say bad.
There's no choice.
Yeah, yeah. So how would that conclude badly for...
Edith's gotta go.
How would that conclude badly for Edith?
I could think of two ways. One would be either
She figures out what happens to Jessica?
right, so yeah, and it like, and that could be that somebody's life change tragedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep babbling on, babble a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, what could have happened to her? Where did she go? There's no body. There's never been a body. There's
God
no
damn it, Edith! God damn it! You know damn well what happened. Roland, you have the bag.
Yeah, it's right here.
Can't hide it from her anymore. Open it up.
Jimmy, please, not here. Let's not do this
Open
right
up
now.
the bag, Roland. There's no better time to do this. If we're going to stop these kids from making the same mistakes that we did.
I guess at that, Roland's gonna give a sorry look over to Edith. And he's going to, he's gonna drop the bag on the ground. Open it up.
Go ahead. Take a look at what's inside there.
Edith does.
It's the hilt, right? It's the knife.
Yeah, you would see a probably a 7-inch blade, ceremonial dagger, ivory hilt, maybe a silver filigree.
God damn it. We weren't playing games. We all thought we were doing something out here. We all thought we were learning stuff, discovering things. You don't remember? You gave up your best friend for imaginary power that didn't exist.
Edith is going to pick up the knife, and when she touches the hilt of it, she's going to look towards the clearing where Steve and Alex are doing their ritual, and she's going to see, I don't know who's going to do it. So she's going to see all the friends out there, and Jessica in a white gown, and Edith plunges the dagger into Jessica's heart.
Oh, that
you
turned
can't
dark.
pin all this. You can't pin all this on her. We were all there that night, and you know it. Just because she's the one that delivered the final sacrificial blow doesn't mean she gets to carry all the weight.
Jimmy's face goes red as he looks down, ashamed. What are we going to do now?
We do
Edith
what
passes out. Right? I don't know. Something
Yeah,
happens
knife
to
in her
Edith.
hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something happens to Edith, guys. You do
Roland rushes to her aid. And he says, "What do we do now? We do what we came out here. We finish this once and for all."
All right. Sounds like the end of a scene.
Well, that took a dark and mysterious turn.
Oh, you get one, right?
it. I already had it. 4.
But okay. You're right.
Like, I don't want that red one. Get it out of here.
All right.
Not at all how you planned that out, huh? Not at all how you thought Edith would go.
It might still end okay for Edith.
Is this my last one?
Yep.
All right, so we've had guilt and tragedy in this one already.
Poor Edith.
So this scene, it's going to involve Alex, Steve, Roland, and Jimmy, I think. Right?
All right.
I guess Christy gets to be Jimmy.
Yeah.
I could play both if you want to keep with the same voice or whatever. Or you can play Jimmy if you want, if you think you got a handle on him.
A very complex character, Jimmy.
Jimmy takes a sudden turn.
I don't even like the woods.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been out here.
I was picturing the actor that's he's the union guy from, is it season 2 of The Wire? You know who I'm talking about?
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he's in True Blood.
Yeah. Is he the sheriff?
He's the sheriff in True Blood. Yeah.
I was actually thinking of the guy from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Close.
I was.
Pretty close, yeah.
I don't know who I was picturing for Jimmy. Probably, maybe not quite a Clancy Brown, but
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think, this is going to be a continuation. Maybe this scene, because Roland has the journal page, and the one that Alex was told Steve to get. So so that's the scene. The scene is the ritual is taking place. The components are now required. The actors involved are Alex, Steve, Roland, and Jimmy.
All right, got it. Where's that stuff I asked for?
Okay, so the camera's back in the chest, looking up at Steve as he reaches down and pulls something out, and he turns and he says, "Why do you have a tissue with blood on it?"
It's a part of the ritual. Don't worry about it. Just bring it over here.
All right, here's this one, and he hands Alex the tissue with blood.
All right. Where's the page?
The page? What page? Oh, you mean the journal, the diary, the letter? The letter from the journal?
The letter from the diary journal?
Yes, obviously. I mean,
Hold on, I had it right over here. Hold on, it's in this pile of stuff over here. and you see him move toward a backpack. He's unzipping. He's looking through like a stack of things. He's just like rummaging, and he keeps looking up into the woods like, where the hell are those guys? Like, that's a look on his face.
Yeah.
And at this point, Roland, still caring for Edith, he's a little late because Edith had fainted. He can't be as on point as he promised Steve.
So Jimmy's like, Roland, this is our cue.
All right. I guess Roland's going to give a stern look towards Jimmy and say, listen, you know what needs to be done. I can't have you stopping me out there.
I know what needs to be done.
And I don't blame you if I have to be the one to go down for this, but I can't let that boy... I just can't let this happen. And at that, he takes the dagger. He picks the ceremonial dagger up off the ground where Edith had dropped it.
Jimmy draws his gun from his holster.
Roland takes a deep breath. And he emerges from the woods. You mean this page right here, Alex?
Why do you have that? Where did you get it? As he glances over to Steve.
Now, Jimmy would see the dagger tucked behind Roland's back as he walks calmly towards Alex.
Yeah, Steve is just taking a couple steps back so that he's not anywhere in between the two.
Says, I warned you kids to stay out of these woods.
You know you kids are trespassing.
Oh, of course, you would have a problem with this. As Alex kind of gets angrily at the adults bothering him. We weren't doing anything wrong.
Weren't doing anything wrong. I said you were trespassing. You have a fire without a permit.
I think while Jimmy's addressing Alex, intimidating Alex, I think Roland is going to try to... he's going to motion to Steve to kind of, get out of here.
Steve takes a step or two back, but as he sees Roland moving closer to Alex and sees the knife that he has behind him, Steve's going to rush in front of Roland, basically rush in between Roland and Alex to try to stop Roland from stabbing his friend.
Steve, you got to get out of here. Get out of here right now.
Come on, Mr. Nice. Come on. We could just wrap it up. We could just all go home.
God damn it, Steve, you don't know what's out here. You don't know what you're messing with. This has to be done.
Mr. Nice, don't do it. Is Alex reacting? I'll keep looking at K-Wick.
Well, I mean, do I see the knife at all? You said it's behind your back, right?
It is, yeah.
You see him rushing towards you, and you see Steve kind of getting in between, like he's trying to keep him off of you.
All right, I'm going to look... And Jimmy has his gun drawn, though, still, right?
Jimmy has his gun out, but, in the way that cops kind of do.
Right, and at this point, maybe Roland will say, Jimmy, goddammit, get this kid out of here. And that takes the gun off of you.
Be like, Mr. Nice, what are you doing here anyways? And he's going to actually kind of back up when Steve runs in between him and Roland.
Yeah, so with all the struggle and with Roland asking Jimmy to handle the situation, Jimmy grabs Steve by the arm and he's like pulling him away. So he's not in between you anymore.
All right.
So
whatever this is going to come to a failed head.
Yeah.
During the struggle, Steve rips free of Jimmy's grasp right as Roland bears the ivory-handled knife, lunges at Alex. But sadly, Steve rushes between them, catching the blade in his ribs.
Oh, shit.
And at this point, Roland, just realizing what had happened, white in the face, a single tear falls from his eye. Stunned, dazed, can't do anything but now hold Steve in his arms. I imagine Steve has a little bit of life left in him.
Well, I was thinking like so scene for Steve. A scene for Steve. I could keep rolling with the just been stabbed kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's going to go bad for me anyway. I just don't know exactly. I guess I just wanted Alex to stop as well. Sorry, I'm just thinking through this. This is the last things with stuff. All right, so the scene is having just been stabbed. We're at the ritual, the interruption of the ritual. So Jimmy, Roland, Alex is there. Do we want Edith at some point to wake up and wander in? I won't do it for the scene, actually.
Right, because maybe in our aftermath, once again, she won't have a memory of the gruesome story in the woods.
Good one.
But now her husband's in prison.
Okay, so so Steve's eyes open wide as he feels the knife blade go into him, and we see Roland's teary-eyed face looking real close. Their faces are really close, and we see their eyes like locking and making contact. And Steve just says, "Mr. Nice." And he kind of coughs a little bit, and you see blood trickle on his face.
You stupid boy. You stupid boy. Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you get out of here?
I didn't want you to hurt him. And he just kind of, he drops, like his body just kind of slumps.
No. God damn it, no.
That's the scene. So it's Alex's final scene.
Alex's final scene, huh? And I can pick anything, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could be in the year 2000.
So, this scene is, can I do like a mental fucking scene where Alex is just thinking to himself?
It would be a flavor scene.
Yeah, it'd be a flavor scene, but how could we demonstrate like what he's thinking? Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. Maybe writing in your own diary, or, and you just tell us what you're writing. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to think of a way to make it a little bit more visual.
What I wanted to do was do a scene like right after Mrs. Nice medicine in the diner the first time.
Yeah, all right. Let's do it. Let's roll with it.
All right. Because this is a wild card. I get to choose my own happy ending or sad ending or whatever, bad ending or whatever.
Yep, for the scene. Just for the scene.
Right. All right. So there Alex is inside the diner. Steve had just left, right after Miss Edith Nice approached them. He's sitting there contemplating how he can get paid. And, as he's sitting there thinking, he comes up with a scenario where he is going to frame Steve for performing rituals. He doesn't actually believe in the stuff. He doesn't actually think that he's going to be able to talk with the dead, but he's going to, photograph Steve without his knowledge actually going through and doing this stuff, and he's going to present it to Edith as far as to write in his newspaper, that way so he can get the money on the whole situation himself.
Oh, so we see like maybe a collection, like he's digging through like collection of photos that he took, and maybe like looking at emails or texts that you're drafting or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
He's essentially going to set Steve up and, take pictures of it and have the place recorded and that way so he can present all that stuff to Edith and he can actually get paid.
Yeah, which plays good. It plays out good, which means that whole grisly murder was recorded because you probably already had cameras set up in the woods to frame Steve.
Yep.
Right. Well, at the same time, all right, yeah.
Well, we have to see what the aftermath.
We do.
Like
I might not
the
make
fate.
it out alive.
The level of fate.
Wow.
So what you have to do, K-Way, is roll 2d6 2 times, and the rest of us just roll our colored die. Add up your blues, add up your reds, and you subtract. It's the higher number minus the lower number.
Of the
4.
You forgot one.
oh
Of your first roll, K-Way, we have to figure out, like, was your first roll red or blue?
I had 2 and 2, so...
Right, but it matters.
All right, I guess we're the blue one, good and then bad.
Okay, so you ended up with a black 4. So K-Way, I guess we could start this off with K-Way. K-Way, the aftermath is savage. Isn't something is broken or mashed? Maybe you've got a permanent limp or a bad reputation, and you totally fail in your goal. And
Obviously, fucking
So
Steve
keep-
died. I didn't want him to die.
right, so keep that in mind for when we do, the little last wrap up scene.
All right.
11 blue.
11 blue. Wow, that's not too shabby. You made it out with dignity intact through some fluke. There might even be a little profit or self-respect or something.
The
came out with-
the fluke was that Edith passed out.
And you have a great story to tell.
All right. And that was weird because, like, well, let's see yours. What was yours?
what do I do now?
So you tally up the score for each color.
Okay, so this is 11, 12 red and 1 blue.
So so you subtract 12 minus 1, so that's 11. So that makes it 11 red. Pretty good, all things considered. You're coming out of this smelling like a rose. You're a little bit better off.
Okay.
You're coming out of this good. So you have to figure out how that looks. And for me, it's 7 minus 5. It's 2 blue, which is not so great. Merciless. You might not be dead on the outside, but you sure as hell are dead on the inside. The emotional or mental wounds you suffered will never heal.
Wait, so Steve didn't die.
Steve did not die.
Yeah, he must have survived it, which is how Roland made it out okay.
So that whole, like, somebody's life was changed forever. I went from thinking it was going to be Edith to thinking it was going to be Roland. And apparently it was Steve.
All right, so the wrap up here.
Yeah, let's start with Edith.
All right, so you see Edith at the closest by metropolis to their quiet northern city at a book signing. She had written a bestseller,
What's it called? What's the title in the book?
Little Town Dark Forest.
Oh, good one.
Damn.
Roland?
Let me see. Yeah, you would see Roland grading papers at school, business as usual, and class just got out, and Steve is standing in the doorway waiting for him. He looks up at him, smiles. Things didn't quite go as planned, that's for sure. But in the end, everything turned out all right.
Yeah, cool. So then it's nighttime, and we see Steve in his bedroom, and he's listening to his metal. He's got some Megadeth going on, and he just keeps like pacing impatiently, maybe not sure what to do with himself. And he opens up a drawer, and he kind of pulls out you see him bend like a safety pin, and he just starts poking himself in his arms. And you could see, like, as he's poking himself, you could see he's done it like a whole bunch of times.
All right, so scene cuts to Alex being homeless in town. People walking by him, making fun of him. The town news or the town gossip portraying him in a bad light, saying that he was satanic and trying to perform his satanic rituals out in the woods. He even got called into the police station for a case of a missing girl that he knew nothing about. And ever since, his life was changed. And on top of everything, he never did get paid for the story that Mrs. Nice made millions off of.
Maybe you should have finished Edith's book. Saw how it ended.
Edith book? I thought we were supposed to read it book. All right, so that ends our first foray into the game Fiasco. It was a little bit of a fit and start, it was a little rough for us during certain patches, but I had a great time.
Yeah, I like it.
Fun.
I like this game a lot.
actually really like it. It was a blast.
Yeah, a great time. And I can't believe it actually all kind of came together and, formed a cohesive story.
I don't know. I feel like the tilt could have gone a little bit different with the law being there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that, though, if you play it a few more times, and I bet it's a lot more easy, I bet you learn to pay attention to what's important about making the storyline flow properly.
Yeah,
right,
there is
exactly.
a companion book. There is a companion book that has suggestions, and it outlines common pitfalls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So credit goes out to Simon Brake for writing this particular play set, Little Town, Dark Woods, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you broke both of them?
No, it's one arm, but he's a cook. Yeah.
I was going to say, I broke both my wrists snowboarding, and that was a fucking nightmare. Try wiping your ass with casts on. Thankfully, the cast only went up to the elbows.
Yeah.
Imagine the arms. Boop, 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 boop.
He had a bidet installed.
Yeah.
Don't laugh at me, Otto. I would like to see you wipe your own ass.
This is humiliating.
All right, is it
We
K-Way's turn?
ready to get into this now? Are you guys done conversing?
Yes, sorry.
It's late.